everyone, and welcome back to Dig Deep. My name is Kuvi Axe. I own Root, the Good Food Agency, and this is Dig Deep. It's a YouTube channel where we specialize in the natural products industry. We talk to industry experts about things they've learned along the way and tips and tricks and trends. We look at what's on the grocery shelves, lots of sampling, poking and prodding of products. We talk about best marketing strategies to get ahead, and we really dive deep into the stories of the people and the products on the CPG shelves. So thanks for joining us. Thank you also to Kiln, which is where we are today. They are flexible co-working and office spaces for rent in Boulder and beyond. They have about 20 locations, and they like to elevate the quality of life at work. They do a good job of blending lifestyle and co-working spaces. So to find out if there's one near you, visit kiln.com. Well, I'm delighted today, especially delighted today, because we have Carlotta Mast with us. Carlotta is a natural products, content, and events industry leader. She's a keynote speaker, a community builder, a business innovator. She's a panelist, moderator, and CPG trend spotter. She's also the SVP of Global Community and Content Strategy at Informa Markets. She just took the role of leading the newly expanded Naturally Colorado as chair, and she's the mother of two and has done all this while being a mother of two. So hats off to Carlotta. So today I'd really like to, you're a bit of a hero to the natural products industry, and honestly, I think to everyone who knows your story and who knows about you and knows you. What I'd like to do is hear a little bit about your trajectory and how you got where you are today, maybe a little bit about how things went for you. And I really want to tie that to habits and mindset and attitudes and beliefs that you have that have helped you succeed, because those are things that I find very inspiring, because I can take those on and hopefully those will help me succeed as well. So, I've known you for years, but I'm excited to do a deep dive in your background and maybe get a little bit of a secret to your success. So let's start with a little background, and maybe, why don't you touch a little bit on some of what you think is some main points of how you got where you are today.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Kuvi. And it's just my first time here in this beautiful Kiln workspace, so I just want to acknowledge this is a special spot.
Yeah,
so thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I was coming over here today, I was trying to think about sort of that, what are some of those threads that tie together? I have a lot of varied experiences, and the thing that came up for me is that, over the years, I have had a tendency to really think of any situation, any person, even any challenge as an ally to my growth and development and ultimate well-being. And so that has helped me to take a glass half full perspective and take even challenging things and find the lesson and the positive. And, this ties to the early part of my career, but when my husband and I moved to Boulder about 21 years ago, I was looking for a job, and I saw New Hope was in town, and I started to look at the work they were doing, and they had a senior editor position open, and I have a journalism background, and I so wanted this job. It just seemed really interesting. It seemed like something that I would be really good at. And so I went through the whole interview process, and it was just sure I would get this job, and I didn't. Oh. And I was really disappointed, because I thought, gosh, I'm supposed to work in that, in that industry and with that company. And I found out a few days later that I was pregnant with my first son. So it would not have been a good time to start a new job. But because I'd gone through the interview process and met the team, they started, sending freelance work my way, and it helped me launch a pretty great freelance business for 5 years as I was raising my two sons when they were very little. And then when I went back into full-time work, it was with the Nutrition Business Journal editor job. So, I mean, all of that just served what I needed. And at the time I was quite disappointed, but I was able to look at it and find the silver lining.
I feel like almost every single thing that's happened to me, I look back and say, oh, good thing that happened, because if it hadn't, and it's not always good thing that that happened the way it did because this turned out so well, but sometimes it's a good thing that happened because look what I learned from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically what you're saying, right? Is even if you don't end up being really happy with the results, the things you learned end up being useful most of the time, right?
Yeah, and I do find you get what you need. And so that's what I needed, and being able to trust that throughout my life, it's really helped me to, I just think, stay open to possibilities.
Ooh, I'd like to hear a little bit more about get what you need. Like, tell me more about what you mean.
Yeah, so, I mean, I heard this word and I just love it. It's called pronoia versus paranoia. And pronoia is this idea that the universe is actually conspiring to help you. So I believe that. I believe that I trust in the universe. I trust in the good nature of people, and by sort of putting my perspective there, it helps me just to stay open to those possibilities. So then I could see, like, I may think I want this or I may think I want that, and that's often my ego talking, but what I really need always is delivered.
Yeah.
And I can go through my whole life and see that. And so I try to, as a leader and mentor to, a lot of people, I try to bring that perspective, because I think sometimes it can feel like the world is working against us, and then that sort of just perpetuates that mindset. And if you can stay positive, I think, I've always found that good things do ultimately happen.
I love that. So it's not just the law of attraction to attract something to you, but maybe the law of attraction is helping you with the lessons that are going to help your life in the long term too.
Yeah, and just trusting that, you will get what you need.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So let's see. So you started as the editor, or after freelancing, your first position at New Hope was the editor and editorial director at Nutrition Business Journal, right?
Yes.
Editor-in-chief at newhope360.com, Natural Foods Merchandiser, and also at Natural Foods Merchandiser magazine. So tell us a little bit about those early days. What was that like? I mean, you went from at-home mom, but also freelance writing, to now you've got a bunch of responsibility.
Yes, and I mean, I was not wrong when I first interviewed at New Hope that this was a place for me, because the culture and the people, the leadership of New Hope at the time, I didn't even know that was really possible. I hadn't experienced that. It was very collegial, very mission-driven, really interesting people, from all kinds of different backgrounds, and that is exactly what the situation was. So it was a great place to go back to work full-time. And at the time, we were pretty siloed at New Hope. We had the events business working very independently from the publishing business, and that was something that over my years, I did a lot of work to break down those silos and bring us together as one team. But it was just a really fun place to be, and it showed me that the personal purpose can be aligned with your work. That work can be a place where you can find and actually act toward that purpose. And I hadn't experienced that up to that point. And now I see that as just such a powerful force for business, being able to align your purpose with the purpose of your team and your organization, and to harness the energy and the passion that comes from that. I just think you can become unstoppable.
Well, you're definitely an example of that. So let's see. So my research tells me that like you said, you broke down those silos between New Hope's content and its business divisions. and you basically created one topic-focused content team. That was kind of groundbreaking. I mean, that was kind of unusual back then, right? So why was that needed? What did you do to make that happen? I see that through when I looked back through through the trajectory of your career, I'm seeing that type of work as something that's been a big part of your success.
Yes, and that was really driven by the idea that if we could work together and collaborate more, I think we could accomplish more together. Because we're in these silos. This was the team working on this publication and the team working on this publication. We weren't really talking to each other and doing a lot of the same work. And when I sort of learned that, I thought, well, what if we actually work together? Then we could cover more topics and do more and maybe have more fun as a larger team. And I do think that came to be. So that was part of it. How do we do more with the team we have? But then how do we also help elevate these amazing professionals who are on the team so that they could really deepen their expertise and share with the world that expertise, and versus just kind of being in the background and hiring a lot of freelancers who were the experts. They were deepening their expertise on a certain topic or a beat. And I think of Jessica Rubino, who is the VP of Content at New Hope. Now she's been there for her full career, and she started, becoming the expert in natural beauty. And I don't know if there's anyone in the marketplace who knows more about natural beauty than Jessica Rubino. And it was, sort of from that idea that we could all become experts in different parts of the industry.
Wonderful. You also co-created the Nexties, right?
We did, and it was a bit of a, we weren't planning, we didn't have a vision for what the Nexties are now, which are these very established, prestigious, sought after awards. We started it as a guerrilla marketing campaign for this trend product that we launched called the Next Forecast. It was a partnership between New Hope and SRG. And so we thought, and as part of that, we had teams of researchers and writers from New Hope and SRG going to Expo and visiting every single booth and actually really then taking the time to process what we saw and what were the trends and what were the bigger shifts that were represented in all of that product innovation. And it was powerful work, but we needed a way to get people to pay attention. So we thought, well, what if we launch an awards program associated with it so that people will, we can just get the Nextie name out there. And the trend report is no longer in existence, but the Nexties certainly are.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of those unintended consequences.
How do you, I always have the best time judging the Nexties, and just now when you were talking about how you love the culture of New Hope, and I think all these years later, that culture is still there. When I go there and hang out with the other judges and also hang out with the New Hope folks, I'm really struck with the expertise, but also the character and the personalities of those people, those very heart-forward, just a brilliant mixture of smarts and heart-forward that makes it so fun and interesting. So what have you seen? What do you think about what the Nexties are like now? Like, how do you tell us a little bit about the evolution of the Nexties?
Oh, yes. Well, that evolution, really, the credit goes to the team that, Jessie Schaefer, who is no longer at New Hope, but she's the Nextie judge. And, that's the thing is once you're a New Hoper, you're always part of that community. And I love that because I'm no longer technically part of the New Hope team, but I'll always be part of the New Hope team. And so she and now Adrian Smith, they have taken, they added the rigor to the Nexties and the process so that you can really look at those finalists and those winners and know that they are they are standout products for that year because they are tied to the Natural Products Expo West show. So that it really helps the retailers navigate that show and know what is standout and have a lot of trust in the selections. So the process that they've added, having judges like yourself and really a range of perspectives to help look through all of those amazing products and see what stands out for inspiration, integrity, innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, folks, I think we'll be publishing this just before they announce the nexties. So make sure that you check newhope.com on February 12th to see the announcement of the winners. And of course, at Expo West as well, you can check out the nextie winners at the show. So.
And go to the Nexty celebration. It is
at the Marquis Center, right?
Yes, it's Thursday night, and it is so fun. And I think it represents the spirit of this industry. You know, entrepreneurs and brands are cheering for one another. You're really there to support one another. It's so high energy, and it's what I love about this industry. A rising tide lifts all boats, and you see that so much at that Nexty celebration.
I will see you there.
Yes.
It's 6 p.m. at the Marquis Center inside the Marriott. So I'm eager to hear what came next. So you co-chaired the NBJ Summit, that's the Nutrition Business Journal Summit, for almost 10 years until not too long ago.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that came from as you know, I was finding, you know, kind of staying open to opportunities across New Hope and having such great leadership that allowed me to create opportunities, which is something I've always loved about New Hope. I was able to bring the content team together with the conference programming, because those had always been separate. The conference programming was part of the events team, and then the content was the publishing team. And when those came together, I was able to work with Tom Arts, who was the founder of NBJ Summit and sold it to New Hope. He also sold Nutrition Business Journal, and become his partner in the conference programming, and really bring some new ideas and new formats to the event. I think the thing I'm most proud of is all the work to get, you know, to make it a much more diverse audience and participant base for NBJ Summit. When I started, it was mostly men. And, you know, now I think we're getting close to 40% women. And so it does reflect sort of the leadership makeup of the industry, which has been a goal. And then that just makes a much richer experience. And it's also, you have much more diversity in the participants. And I just think that's what I'm most proud of with NBJ Summit.
So you broke down more silos.
Yes.
Oh, I'm seeing a theme.
Yes, and now Jessica's taken that over, and I can't wait to see what she and Tom and also Bill Giebler will do.
Yes. So at what point did Informa purchase New Hope?
That was in the second half of 2016.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about some of the changes that you've seen as that's happened.
Yes, well, so since New Hope was acquired through the Penton acquisition in 2016. That was our parent company. And since then, Informa has completed numerous very large acquisitions, UBM, most recently Essentials. And it is, I mean, the size of Informa is so much larger than it even was when New Hope was acquired. And that has brought so many more resources and perspectives, and certainly many other types of events and products and capabilities to the table. And so that's been a big change, because New Hope is now part of this Informa ecosystem and able to benefit from those resources and perspectives
all over the world.
And so I think we will see much more of that sort of impact and benefit, you know, just in the next few years, because, you know, between the acquisition and now there was, of course, that pandemic, which, you know, was so disruptive to an Informa business, which is primarily an events business. But because they had the diversifications, we were able to come out of that and actually come out of it stronger. And so that was a big part of my last few years at New Hope, is bringing us out of the pandemic and then positioning us for this new future with Informa really supporting the way.
So let me take a wild guess. You saw the pandemic as something that you could learn from, as something that could be an ally in a way. right? So
we did.
You turned lemons into lemonade.
We did, and you know, something, you know, just an example of that, because events were shut down, it gave us an opportunity to really talk to our retail buyers. And so in 2021, we started doing some very deep discussions and focus groups and work with our retail buyers to understand what their needs were. And from that was born the idea for Beacon, the Beacon Product Discovery Platform, which is now out in the world, and it allows all of the exhibitors who exhibit at Expo West or Newtopia can upload their products onto this product discovery and intelligence platform, get all of this additional information, all the things that buyers said they needed in one platform to plan their show, but also to support their buying year round. Shelley Sapson on the team has led that. And I mean, I think that just ushers in the future of you know, the Informa events, tying the digital capabilities and intelligence with the in-person event, because it just makes it so much easier for a retailer in particular to navigate that massive show, Expo West.
That's subscription-based, right? The Beacon Discovery?
It is subscription-based, and for the retailers, they're able to get on and use that as a tool to support their buying year-round and also for the shows.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, launching Beacon Discover. I have a list here of things you accomplished in 2021. Recovering New Hope's in-person event business, scaling New Hope's digital business through the introduction of new content marketing services. I mean, you were not sitting on the sofa eating bonbons during COVID. Like, you guys really just galvanized, right? So good to have some time to reset and then to make some big changes.
Yes, and really get back to like understanding the why of your business and understanding the needs of your customer. It allowed us that space.
And you created Newtopia Now.
Yes, that came from the same, because we were learning that while Expo West was recovering well from the pandemic, Expo East was struggling. And so it gave us, again, like, well, then let's talk to the buyers, let's talk to the customers, let's talk to the community and understand what new is needed. And what we learned then was used to shape Newtopia Now as a very different kind of trade show concept.
What did you think about the first year of Newtopia Now?
I was so impressed with the first year and so proud of the team that brought that to life, and really trying new things, you know, to try to bring more community, to try to bring more curated connections and, you know, convening with purpose to a trade show environment in a new city, and, you know, no longer positioned as an East Coast show. And they learned a lot, and you will see only improvements this year, because again, it's a team that focuses on applying the lessons to just continue to get better.
When will you guys, I mean, I know people watching are excited about Newtopia Now, so do you mind saying how you will decide where it is in future years? When does that choice happen? I know it'll be in Denver this summer.
It's in Denver this August, and so that's really the New Hope team is working on that strategy. So it will. I don't know.
You don't.
But I know it will be very intentionally determined.
Will they decide after this one, or?
Well, no. I imagine they're working on that plan now. It's crazy how far these venues get booked out, and you know, the planning for these large convenings start years in advance.
Yeah. Trat, I was hoping to get an exclusive on the first one to announce
I could.
The new Newtopia Now location, but maybe it's in Denver, we just don't know.
Denver was a great city for the first year, and I'm so excited to be back in Denver this year. Of course, being in Colorado, we need something like this, and I think the community, the Colorado community, and I know naturally Colorado is super excited about Newtopia being in Denver.
Yes, yes. And for people who didn't make it to the first Newtopia Now, would you want to touch on some of the highlights, and will there be changes for the second Newtopia Now that you know of yet?
Well, there will be, again, continued evolution. What I think really stood out from the first year is just how much this show can support earlier stage companies, earlier stage brands, and be a more accessible trade show. Expo West is so large and it can be intimidating. And so I think providing that opportunity for earlier stage companies, certainly regional companies, that's why it's Naturally Colorado is such a strong partner for Newtopia, but just making it a more accessible trade show. And again, helping facilitate connections, matchmaking, speed dating, small community dinners focused on, mission-driven themes, those kinds of things. And I anticipate that will just continue to be an important part of Newtopia.
Yeah. Taste of Denver,
Yeah.
yoga, yoga at Red Rocks, all those fun things.
Yeah, it was special.
Yeah. Oh, good. And then you have two main hats for Informa, right? These days, SVP of Global Community and Content Strategy, and then also Sustainability Business Strategy is another big part of what you do.
Yes, so I'm in this new role, and I've been working with Informa to really shape and create the role with the idea that probably my zones of genius over my many years at New Hope and just with my experience are content, of course,
Yep.
and then community building. And they've been part of the success of New Hope for many years, even before I was part of the organization. And it's certainly where I developed so many of my skills and capabilities. But then helping bring those to other parts of the Informa business. Informa is really focused on the customer experience and how do we continue to make that to be the best in the world and something that will make our events unmissable. And so it's been really fun to think about how community enables that and how harnessing our content capabilities and really deepening those capabilities enables that. But for me, everything I do has a sustainability lens because again, I so believe that sustainability is our future and that it is part of business. It's integrated into the future of business. So helping also our sustainability team be able to find those commercial opportunities and really have deep impact through sustainability, harnessing community, harnessing content. And so it's been exciting to see some of the things that we've been able to do.
What are you looking forward to this summer, for example, or this year, I should say?
Well, one thing I'm excited about is just building bridges between different parts of the business. And it's starting from the core I know, which is New Hope and natural products. But I just got home from Anaheim late last night where I was at an event. It's called MD&M. It's a manufacturing show. And they just launched a Sustainable Manufacturing Expo as part of that show. And CPG packaging is actually one of the areas of focus and helping them bridge to the big CPG audience we have with natural products all around sustainable packaging. So we had an interactive, it was called the Future Pack Forum, and it was all about how to build, provide the community connections, information and inspiration CPG companies need to make more progress on their sustainable packaging journey, which is a requirement now with changing regulations. And it was really successful. People were really engaged and learning from one another, building community, and it helped start to build that bridge between parts of the Informa business that had been operating in silos. So I'm just excited about continuing to do that bridge building.
Really making a difference.
Yes, and I think it's just, I feel sometimes you need those people who can kind of see the bigger picture and then start to connect those dots.
Yeah. Well, let's chat about Naturally Colorado and your new role as chair. So, this celebrating 20 years this year.
Huge, huge deal. And I'm so glad to be back. I was, part of Naturally Boulder. I was the board chair and on the board for 6 years before the pandemic. And it was while with Naturally Colorado or Naturally Boulder that I helped to launch the Naturally Network to take the Naturally Boulder concept to other cities. So we started with Bay Area, then Chicago, Austin, San Diego.
How did you do that? I'm dying to know. How did that all start?
We, as a board, we had a end of year visioning session, and we thought, well, what if we could expand beyond Boulder? What if we could create a hub, a network, a web of other similar organizations, but we're all connected by a similar mission and community. And so then it was finding the partners. And so I'm still on the national board, and perhaps the thing I'm most excited about for this year is on that national board, I'm co-chairing the Conscious Business Working Group with Eric Schnell from Beyond Brands. And this is defining the why and the reason for being for Naturally Network, all around conscious business. It will shape our programming and help us differentiate how we support entrepreneurs in the natural products industry with a focus on what we call the quintuple bottom line: passion, purpose, people, planet, and prosperity. I'm working on a book about this.
You are.
To codify this, and I really think that it is so needed to continue to have that North Star for the industry, because we've always been a purpose-driven industry. We've always been about more than just profit.
Yep.
And so this can help entrepreneurs understand how they can build a very prosperous business while harnessing their passion to create an aligned purpose that then also enables them to serve people and planet.
When should we look for this book to publish?
We'd like to have it out by the end of the year, so working on having a draft by September.
I foresee a book tour ahead.
I mean, I hope. I hope so.
That's awesome.
And why I'm excited about it again is it can support business as a force for good, and be just another North Star, or really the North Star for the many entrepreneurs and business leaders in the industry. So, and that ties back to Naturally Colorado, because, that's what we'll then be able to bring to life through all of our local programming that will be not just Boulder, but really, focused statewide with a true focus on the Front Range in 2025.
Give me some examples.
Well, so in July, there'll be the Conscious CPG Summit. It will be the second year for this summit. And so here in Colorado, we'll be able to do in-person programming, really hoping that can focus on more personal development. Because to lead a conscious business, you really need to do the inner work to make sure that you have all of the support you need to be that conscious leader. So it will allow us to do more personal development programming with Naturally Colorado, tied to the work of the national network. And that's just one example. But there's some really, really wonderful things happening with Naturally Colorado. It came together, merging with Colorado Food Works, which is so exciting. And so bringing these two communities together. And it's been so fun to have the different perspectives on the board, and to really expand what we can do to support the natural products industry and the CPG industry in the state.
There you go, making connections and breaking down silos again.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to wrap up with a little bit more of the personal side. Tell me a little bit about how you've juggled being a mom of two sons, and what do you do when you first get up in the morning? Do you have a certain pattern? Do you drink tea while you meditate? Give us a little bit of that, because we've heard a little bit about the glass half full, and maybe tell us about where this came from. Did you have a grandma or a mom who inspired you? Tell me a little bit about, the softer side, the personal side that's got you where you are today.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I most love to talk about. Well, I think, I have a lot of inspiration from my mom. She's a really positive person and has been a trailblazer. She was the second woman to graduate from the business school or the law school at University of Colorado here in Boulder, and the first woman practicing attorney in Northern Colorado. So I've always been able to look to her as that trailblazing force that really, seeing possibilities where maybe other people had not yet seen them before. So that's mean, and my mom, we're very close, and she's in Loveland. She lives on the farm that her grandparents homesteaded. So it's really cool to still have that farm in our family. And we're working to see how we might move some of it to regenerative. And so it's really fun to have that. But I think if you ask me if I have a morning routine, the one consistent thing in my morning routine is a gratitude list. I do not get out of bed until I make the three things. Yeah, I think about three things that I'm really grateful for, and really send sort of loving kindness to that idea or that person or whatever I am grateful for, and then I can get up and start my day. So that's typically my routine. It's not really more complicated than that, and it often then moves to email, the phone and the
then
email.
you hit the ground running.
Yes.
But starting the day in that attitude, with that perspective, changes the day, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
And I try to have a different list every day for, at least a week, because I could put my dogs and my kids and, the same thing. And so then it really helps me scan my life for those things that even up on the surface would be like, well, why would that make your gratitude list? Well, I can turn it around and figure out why it can make the gratitude list because of what I had, started to talk about as, everything's an ally.
Yeah. That's wonderful. What do you do for fun? I mean, I can't imagine that you have time for fun with all the different works that you do, but do you hike? Are you a skier? Do you go out to the farm and ride the horses? Tell me about your free time.
What is probably could become one of the most fun things for free time is basketball. So I have two sons. Eli is 21, soon to be 22, and Ingram is 18. And we love basketball. We are huge Denver Nuggets fans. And so we watch a lot of basketball together. We go to basketball games. They both played basketball. And so I love that.
Yeah.
And it's been, really fun, to connect with them and know the inside scoop on things. And so it's been, I would say that's a highlight.
Watching or playing? Do you play?
I don't really play, no, watching. But just having, I never understood until, having my kids, how people could be so passionate about a team. And now I get it. Really get it.
Yeah. Any other ways you recharge before we wrap up?
I love, to be here in Boulder and have access to the trails and hiking and nature is a big one.
Yeah.
And yoga, I've really gotten much more into yoga again, and what a gift it is.
Do you do it at home or go to classes?
No, I go to the yoga pod here.
So do I.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah.
Much. And I just feel that's often on my gratitude list.
Yeah.
Really grateful that we have that community and all those different kinds of classes.
Have you ever tried, they have a couple of really hard ones where you're jumping around with weights in your hand and dancing really hard. And it's funny because I grew up hearing that yoga was the relaxing thing, but it's not always the relaxing thing.
And they offer everything. I've only done one of those classes. I have to say that I'm more drawn to, tonight they'll have the restorative yoga.
Yes.
Candlelight restorative.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I love that one. I'm surprised I haven't seen you there, actually.
Yeah.
You basically get into a position and then you just hold it for 10 minutes. It's really nice.
It's really
But it makes a difference. I mean, you feel so good afterwards.
It does.
Yeah.
And,
well, Carlotta, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing so much of your life and your wisdom, and for being a trailblazer and for being someone who really puts your heart forward and is an inspiration. So appreciate you very much.
Well, back at you. I so appreciate what you do and that you would have an interest in my story. So
of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, folks, for more interviews with women we admire, go to the Root Food for Thought blog. So it's rootmarketing.com. Just go to the blog page, which is called Food for Thought, and you will find many Women We Admire interviews, including Jessica Rubino, who Carlotta mentioned earlier. She was one of our first Women We Admire blogs, and it's a really good one. You want to check that out. Make sure you follow us on social media, subscribe to this Dig Deep channel right here by clicking on the subscribe button below. And you can find links to everything we mentioned today in this episode description below. So we'll see you next time. Thanks again.